What if your very last candle, the final flame you held onto in the middle of your darkest night, became the very miracle that changed everything? Stay with me, because this story might just remind you that even when your light feels small, it is never without purpose. But before we begin, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Tales for All Seasons, and click the bell icon, so you never miss stories that inspire hope in every season of life. And as you listen, share your thoughts in the comment section below. I'd love to know what this story means to you. The night was cruelly cold, the kind of night when the wind seemed to scream through every crack in the walls. In a little wooden house at the edge of a village, a widow sat alone, weary and weak. Her cupboards were bare, her firewood long gone, and in her hand she held the last thing she had, a single candle. She looked at it with trembling fingers and whispered, "This is my last flame. When it burns out, I'll sit in darkness." The candle felt heavier than it should, carrying the weight of her fears. Each flicker echoed her loneliness. Life had been hard since her husband passed. The neighbors, though kind, were struggling themselves. And on that stormy night, she felt completely forgotten. At last, she struck a match and lit the candle. Its small glow cast soft shadows on the walls, a fragile comfort against the storm. Just then, a knock echoed through the door. Her heart jumped. Who could it be at such an hour? She opened the door cautiously, and there stood a stranger, drenched from the rain, shivering from the cold, desperation written across his face. "I lost my way," he stammered. "Please, could I have shelter just for tonight?" The widow froze. She looked back at her tiny room, at the empty shelves, and at the single candle flickering behind her. "I barely have enough for myself," she thought. "How can I help him?" But deep within, a whisper came, "Share your light." She stepped aside and softly said, "Come in." The man entered, dripping water onto the worn floor. She led him to the table where the candle glowed. It wasn't much, but in that moment the flame seemed stronger, warmer. She found an old blanket and wrapped it around him. She shared the only thing she had left, a piece of bread from yesterday. They sat together in silence, listening to the storm. The stranger looked at the candle and said, "You gave me shelter when you had almost nothing. This small flame, it feels like hope itself." The widow managed a faint smile. For the first time in a long while, she didn't feel completely alone. Hours passed, and at last the storm began to calm. Morning sunlight crept through the window, and the stranger stood, thanking her with tears in his eyes. "You didn't just give me a place to stay," he said. "You gave me hope." He left, but the story didn't end there. Later that day, he returned, not alone, but with neighbors who had been searching for him. They carried baskets of food, bundles of firewood, and warm clothing. The widow could hardly believe her eyes. The man explained, "These people were looking for me, but when I told them how you welcomed me with nothing but a candle, they couldn't stay away. They wanted to help you too." Her last candle hadn't burned out. It had lit the way to a miracle. She realized something powerful that morning. Even the smallest light can push back the deepest darkness. And sometimes it's not the size of what we give, but the heart behind it, that opens the door to blessings. Sometimes what feels like the end of our light is really the beginning of someone else's hope. And in giving, we find that our own darkness turns into dawn. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Tales for All Seasons for more stories of faith, kindness, and hope. And please, share your thoughts in the comment section. Has there ever been a time when your small act of kindness brought unexpected blessings? I would love to hear your story.